Hi, my name is Simone, and I'm the Zen Mommy. I help people with spiritual awakening and navigating your ascension. And today I'd like to talk about plant medicine, plant vibration, and particularly one plant in particular. I want to talk about the cannabis and the use of cannabis in your spiritual practice, or using it to just clear your mind and to chill out and relax, or specifically the vibrations of plants that we are dealing with. um, as you can see, at the beginning of the year I talked about how I was trying to start a garden and stuff. These are my plants. They have gotten really really big, and I also have a little baby here. And so the reason why I want to talk about this subject today, because during spiritual awakening and ascension, it's important to start learning how to read vibrations, reading energy. With people, specifically, especially, once you are awakened to your consciousness and your empathic abilities, you start learning how to read the energetic vibrations of people, places, and things. Well, the reason why I want to talk about cannabis, because cannabis is a vibration, is a plant as well. Okay, so let's just start with this. When I started this video, I didn't know I was going to be talking about this. I just was searching for an idea. Um, okay, so we're going to start here with the plant. Okay, so plants are living. If you look at them under a microscope, they have a cell structure similar to ours, and they're moving, they're growing, their cells are moving, nucleus will not, and they slowly move, but we can't see them move. But if you were to look at a time lapse video sped up, you'll see that these plants are constantly moving, they're constantly growing, they're communicating with each other, they're communicating with the environment, they're reacting and responding to the environment. So the same would be for your cannabis plant. And so with the cannabis, okay, if you're growing your own plants and cannabis or any type of plant, the energy that you have, your plants are going to hold the energy. So if you're keeping your garden and home in a good vibration, you're playing music to it, you're spending time with the garden, you're caring for it, you're touching it and stuff. This is going to give the plants, see, the plants, they're a spirit being, and they feel energy, and they respond to love, and they respond to good vibrations and good feeling, and they like that. And so your plants are more likely to produce for you. Let's just say if it's a fruit plant or a fruit tree, it's going to produce sweeter fruit if the person is a sweet person and did a good job taking care of their plants, kept themselves in a higher vibration. Now, I remember one time I was living, um, let's see, before I moved to Florida, I was living in this neighborhood where, I was growing a garden, but I didn't have an orange tree. And there was a neighbor a few houses down, and he had this orange tree, and he had a bunch of beautiful looking oranges that never was getting picked. And so, I came and I knocked on the door to him, and I said, do you mind if I get some of your oranges? And he looked at me with this look like, what are you talking about? And he says, yeah, sure. He really probably didn't want to give it to me. He said, go, get you some oranges and don't come back. And I was just like, I came over here nicely. I'm your neighbor. And so I grabbed a few of the oranges, and I didn't come back, like you said. When I got home, those oranges were sour and bitter, and at that point I started to realize that man, that orange took on the energy of the vibration of this man. He was bitter, he was sour towards me, and so was his fruit. And so when it comes to cannabis, okay, so cannabis, the reason why I'm talking about cannabis is because cannabis, if you're a smoker, or a cannabis user, um, you are you're going into, when you smoke the plant, you're going into a relationship with cannabis. You're going into a relationship with that plant and whatever energy or vibration that plant is holding. So a plant can pick up positive and negative energy, just like people. So when it comes to the plant, a lot of times with cannabis, we don't know who grew it. We don't know who handled it. We don't know who trimmed it, who harvested it, and we certainly don't know who tested it because out here cannabis is legal, and I believe it's legal in a lot of other states, and they're planning on making it legal everywhere eventually. So, but now like they have it to the point where we have to go through a system to buy the cannabis, and also with the cannabis, not only we don't know what all of these hands, what has happened to this plant. They're also now genetically modifying the cannabis. So now the scientists are getting their tools and they're manipulating and they're completely changing the vibration of what it originally was. So me myself, I love cannabis, but because last year, we were getting settled and moving, and I didn't get to like grow or anything, so I've had to go to the cannabis club to get cannabis. And I started to notice something with my cannabis when I would buy it. So I remember I went to the cannabis club and I was dealing with this bud tender. And this bud tender was in a rush. And, I get there, me, I got to know what you're selling me. First of all, they changed it. Back in the day, we used to could look at it, we used to could smell it. And now it's in a package and you can't even see what it looked like. So we're really dependent on the bud tenders to explain to us anything about this plant. And so I go to this girl, and she's really really antsy and racy, and she's just like, I said, so what do you think about this? Do you like this better? Well, I don't like indicas. She's telling me I don't like indicas because I need to get stuff done, and I need to. And so she just was like jumping around. Then she was trying to rush me into making a decision on which type of cannabis that I wanted. And by the time I was done with her, I was just like, she was erratic. I didn't like her personality or her attitude at all. And I was like, whatever, I'm going to get home and smoke my weed. So why did I get home and smoke my weed? And all of a sudden, I felt anxiety as heck. So anxious, and I felt erratic, and I felt race, just like the girl the bud tender, who recommended me that particular strain. So the thing is, those bud tenders and the people around it, the energy, the plants are so sensitive. They think that they're just selling a product. They think that they're selling a product that just making money, but they're not. They're selling energy. They're selling a spirit. They're selling, a spirit being. And so when I saw what that cannabis did to me, I didn't even want to smoke it anymore. And so that's when I really started to look at the history of growing plants and understanding how they work. And then I said, I'm not going to this place anymore. I was so disappointed with this girl and the fact that they would hire somebody who would act like that and not be knowledgeable about the plants. And so I just was like, I'm not going there. So I found this online place and I ordered it. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go through a whole process for now with my cannabis. When I get my cannabis to my house, I had decided. First thing I do when I get my cannabis now is I sit it with crystals. I sage it. I sage the package. I try to get some smoke inside the container, and then I'll sit it with crystals. I'll drop a little tourmaline or a quartz crystal inside, and I'll just sit it with there. And I will sit there and I will project positive energy onto my cannabis, and I will not smoke it until I have done that. And now that I've started doing it, I started to notice a difference. Even that same weed that erratic girl gave me and I got anxiety over, I did the same thing with that. I saged it. I put tourmaline in it. And I was able to shift the vibration of cannabis, and I wasn't getting anxiety from it anymore. So when I ordered from this other club, I decided I'm just going to do delivery. I did a delivery service. I chose online. They showed up to us, and so however they trained their people, they did a good job. The guy came there in a good mood, happy, And he was just like, I'm so happy to have this job and to deliver cannabis because the people are so happy to see you. And when I saw the vibration of this person holding my cannabis, I knew that I was going to be at an all time high vibration, high, literally. And so I got the cannabis, I did my thing. I dropped my little crystals in there. And it was some of the best weed that I smoked. And so I wanted to share this experience with you guys because right now we can't control who we're getting our cannabis from if you're a smoker. Unless you're a grower. If you're a grower, which is what I recommend because that plant is working with your energy. But if you're not a grower, if you can't grow for any reason and you have to go to the club, um, I wanted to, just put the knowledge out there. Be aware that your cannabis is affected by these people. And it's not only affected by the bud tenders, it is affected by the genetic modifications they're doing. Like who God knows what they're doing to these plants. But I know one thing, ever since they legalized it, they're not the same. They're not as good. They're not as potent. They're not as high vibrational. So we have to go the extra mile if we're using cannabis as a tool on our spiritual journey to help us to clear our mind and meditate and whatnot. Um, we got to go the extra mile to clearing that, to clearing energies, And it's important right now when the vibration of the planet is raising, you're working on raising your vibration. You want to make sure the things around you are a match to that frequency. The same thing if you're growing like mushrooms, psychedelics, mushrooms. Mushrooms, they are very sensitive to energy. Me and Dorian took mushrooms a few months ago for the first time. In January, no, yeah, January and December. And one thing that we learned about the mushrooms, like when you ingest the mushroom completely, you go into a relationship with this mushroom where it's complete, it communicates with you in a way where you can feel it and it can feel you, and it will connect you to all vibrations. It'll connect you to your house. It'll connect you to your walls, the air around you. Like you just feel this total connection with the universe. And so and that's one thing it really taught me, that the plants are very, very sensitive. So if you having a plant, that's why people, they have like bad trips or whatnot. Sometimes even though the bad trips sometimes are still a good lesson, but sometimes it's the environment that the cannabis was at, where it grew at, or where the mushrooms, what environment, who grew it. Was the grower doing it for money, or was the grower passionate? Was the grower spiritual? And then and so it absorbs frequency so well. And then if you take it, it also depends on your environment. If your environment is messed up, if it's not right, if the vibration is low, you're gonna pick. That's the main frequency you're gonna pick up when you ingest this cannabis, ingest your plant, your cannabis or plant medicine. And so I felt like I should share these tips today about plant medicine, about cannabis in particularly. And thank you guys. Enjoy your happy smokes. Peace and love. Namaste.